Hello, in this School Guide video, we're going to talk about studying in the University of Texas at Dallas. Dallas is a very beautiful big city in the heart of Texas, and it's also home to a lot of top employers, top-notch software companies, and it also has a rich Indian community and a lot of concerts and temples and a lot of activities happen here all the time. It has nice weather, reasonable cost of living, and one of the interesting things about Texas is that there's no state income tax. So in the US, there's like federal income tax and state income tax. There's no state tax in Texas. But if you own property, then the property tax is slightly higher. So it kind of offsets that. But if you're newly started working, if you don't have property, then you don't have to pay state tax, so you can save a lot of money. Texas is a very popular destination for Indian students because the weather is like Indian weather. Warm and crispy, and there's usually no snow. And there's a lot of places to visit, and cost of living is very cheap, and it's really nice. Location of Texas. Texas is located in the south of USA in the mountain and central time zone. Texas is located over here in the central south part of USA. So part of it is in the central time zone and part of it is in the mountain time zone. So there are some cities in central time zone, some cities in mountain time zone. So it's a pretty big state. A lot of people think that Texas is the biggest state of the US, but really Alaska is supposed to be much bigger than Texas, more than twice as big, I guess. But among the states in the continental part, I think Texas is pretty big. So states neighboring Texas. So this is a map of Texas with the neighboring states. So then we have Oklahoma and New Mexico in the north. So you see Oklahoma is over here. OK is Oklahoma in the north. And New Mexico is also in the north over here. And then Arkansas and Louisiana in the east. So we have Arkansas. It's not Arkansas, but Arkansas. So Arkansas is over here. And then there's Louisiana over here. And there's the country of Mexico in the south. So it's a different country altogether. So remember, New Mexico is a state of the US. New Mexico has the city Albuquerque where, they developed the first atom bomb and stuff. So to the left of this is like Arizona. But Mexico is a whole different country. New Mexico and Mexico are two different places altogether. New Mexico is a state of US and Mexico is a different country. So to the south of Texas is the country of Mexico. So you see the border of Mexico is over here. And there's the Gulf of Mexico, the ocean over there. So Texas is usually very warm and crispy, hot summers, and winters are mild. And there's, you see Dallas, Fort Worth. Dallas and Fort Worth are like twin cities. So in fact the airport in Dallas is called the DFW, Dallas Fort Worth Airport, International Airport over here. And then there's El Paso over here, very close to New Mexico. So El Paso also has a university. It's not like a top-notch university, but it's very popular among Indian students. I had a couple of friends who went to Texas El Paso. It's some of the departments are pretty popular. And then there's a huge Mexican influence in terms of cuisine and culture, and a lot of Mexican population too. A lot of Mexican restaurant chains and everything. And then there's San Antonio. It's another city over here. There's Austin, which is another city. It's home to the famous University of Texas at Austin, one of the most highly ranked universities in Texas. It's a very highly ranked all over the US too, especially like for computer science and even the business school. And then there's Houston over here. So there's like NASA. The Mission Control Center is in Houston. I mean, that's where all the astronauts get trained, and that's from where, the control station is located there. You have a tour of NASA. That's a national, aerospace agency. So it's like they actually sat there and sent the first men onto the moon, and you can actually watch the place over there. And there's a place where you can actually talk to astronauts and have lunch with them and stuff. I took my mother there, in fact, and we really enjoyed it. Houston was a really nice place. And there's also like Arlington, which is very close to Dallas and Fort Worth. A lot of people get confused between Austin and Arlington. Arlington is very close. There's UT Arlington, University of Texas Arlington, which is very close to UT Dallas over here. And UT Austin is probably like about an hour and a half, 2 hours down south. And from like Dallas to Houston is about like a 2.5, 3 hour drive. So Texas is a really nice place to live in, and a lot of people who like it warm and crispy, who like to go on long walks, they love it in Texas. So Texas, interesting facts. Texas is the second most populous state in the US after California, and the second largest state in the US after Alaska. So when you say populous, it's like the number of people per square mile. It's not the number of people, the population, but it's the density of population per square mile. Texas possesses 3 of the top 10 most populous cities in the US. These towns are Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. The Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, DFW, is home to the world's largest parking lot. That's interesting. The word Texas was the Spanish pronunciation, Tejas, of the Hasinai Indian word meaning allies or friends. So that's how Texas got its name. It's the Mexican it's like the Spanish pronunciation of Tejas. That's how it became Texas. So Mexicans have a unique way of pronunciation. So like we had a lot of Mexican students in our class in the MBA program, and there was one guy who spelled his name Jesus, Jesus, but everyone called him Jesus. That's how they pronounce it in like Spanish or in Mexico. And you talk about like jalapeno. The J is spelled like an H. And we had a friend, her name was Shailaja, an Indian lady, and they used to all call her like Shailaha in the office. So the J is pronounced like an H. And then sometimes you'll see a lot of such interesting variations in pronunciation. It's all to do with the Mexican influence. So even San Jose in California, so it's SANJOSE, but you don't call it San Jose, it's San Jose. That's because of the Mexican influence. The J is pronounced as an H. So some more interesting facts about Texas. So the capital city of Austin is located on the Colorado River in south central Texas. The Capitol building is made from Texas poured granite. The state was an independent nation from 1836 to 1845. The King Ranch in Texas is bigger than Rhode Island state. So Texas, as you know, is famous for cattle. It's also famous for the beef industry, and you'll see steakhouses everywhere. So not one thing. If you're vegetarian and you have very deep sentiments about Hinduism, and you don't like to see beef and steakhouses, then you're going to probably have a little bit of a problem in Texas. So I happen to be a staunch Hindu, and I happen to be a strict vegetarian. So I would see these steakhouses. When I first came to the US, I was just trying to get acclimatized to the culture over here. And when I visited Texas, because we had some like family friends over there were all these steakhouses at every nook and corner. And I couldn't take the smell of steak. It's because of my religious sentiments, and also because I worked for animal welfare and against animal cruelty and stuff. So if there's like a steakhouse 100 meters away, I would just like throw up, and I couldn't withstand it. For me, it was like a big torture. So but if you're a beef eater, then probably it's heaven for you. So there's this King Ranch in Texas, where they have all these cattle, and a ranch is a place where they have cattle, and it's bigger than the Rhode Island state. Texas is home to Dell and Compaq computers. So Dell and Compaq companies have their offices, real big offices in Texas. And Central Texas is often referred to as the Silicon Valley of the South. Texas has more than 16 million cattle. So Texas cattle have these huge long horns, and they're kind of big. It's famous for its cowboys. Weather in Texas. Usually warm, hot in summers, goes up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit and beyond sometimes. Dry weather comparable to Bangalore or Mumbai. The higher humidity of the region amplifies the feeling of heat during the summer. Has a few lakes and rivers. Atlantic Ocean in the south causes humidity in coastal cities like Houston, etc. Not much snow in winters, mildly cold and pleasant. Snowfall is rare at lower elevations, although the highest mountain peaks are prone to heavy snowfalls during winter. Poor land management, drought, and high wind speeds can cause large dust storms. The arid climate is the main reason for desertification of the land. But overgrazing is slowly widening the land area of the desert. So you'll see some dust storms sometimes, but not like too many. But then it's usually hot and dry, and sometimes it's drought prone. And also because of overgrazing from the cattle, the land, it tends to be more, desertified. So weather in Texas. Texas experiences the most tornadoes in the US, with average of about 139 tornadoes per year. So during the period of July 4 to 26, 1979, the tropical storm Claudette brought 45 inches of rain to an area near Alvin, Texas, contributing to more than $600 million in damages. Claudette produced the United States 24-hour rainfall record of 43 inches. More recently, Hurricane Rita pummeled the Golden Triangle of southeast Texas. During winter and spring along the immediate coast, temperatures are kept cool by relatively cool Gulf waters. Dense advection fog can form when warm air moves over the cool shelf waters during February and March, stopping ship traffic for days. So there's a huge oil and gas industry in Houston, and sometimes ship traffic can be halted by days by the fog. So, but these are not problems that students generally have to concern themselves with. So all you need to know is that the cost of living is low, the weather is pretty warm and crispy and nice, and there's no state income tax, and a lot of really good universities. Those are the important things for students. Top cities in Texas: Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, El Paso, Arlington, some of the top cities. Dallas. So let's talk about the city of Dallas. So size is about 385 square miles. Population about 1.3 million as of the year 2016. Dallas is a major city in Texas and the largest urban center of the fourth most populous metropolitan area in the US. The city proper ranks 9th in the US and 3rd in Texas after Houston and San Antonio. In the latest rankings released in 2013, Dallas was rated as a Beta Plus World City by the Globalization and World Cities Study Group and Network, and was 14th in world rankings of GDP with the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. Airports in Texas. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, DFW. So if you're flying to any university such as University of Texas at Dallas or University of Texas at Arlington, you're probably going to fly to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. George Bush Intercontinental Airport, Houston, IAH. If you're flying to like University of Houston or Rice University, or even to like University of Texas at Austin, you'll probably fly to Houston. So these are some of the regional airports. There's also the Austin Bergstrom International Airport for Austin. So if you're flying to UT Austin, you'll probably fly to this airport. Or you could also fly to like Houston and then drive from there. San Antonio International Airport, that's another one. If you're going to like University of Texas, San Antonio. El Paso International Airport, if you're going to the University of Texas at El Paso. There's a Dallas Love Field Airport. So these are the different airports. Top universities in Texas. So UT Arlington, UT Austin, UT Dallas, Rice University. Rice University is a private university. University of Houston, Houston, Texas A&M University, College Station, University of Texas, San Antonio, University of Texas, El Paso, University of North Texas, University of Dallas. So University of Dallas is different from University of Texas at Dallas. So Texas Tech University at Lubbock, Baylor University, Lamar University, Southern Methodist University, Texas Christian University, Texas Southern University, Houston. So there's UT Dallas. This is the logo. You see the map of Texas in the logo. So this is the campus of University of Texas at Dallas. Very beautiful campus, nice building, nice weather, a lot of greenery and trees and flowers and everything. Really nice. And campus facts. So the 750-acre main campus is located in Irving, Texas, just minutes away from the exciting shopping, entertainment, and cultural destination of downtown Dallas. On-campus facilities include 6 residence halls, 2 dining facilities, a church open to students of all faiths, a world-class research library, and a number of recreational facilities. They also boast 14 men's and women's varsity sports teams and are proud members of the NCAA's Division III. Offering nearly 30 undergraduate majors, 30 master's programs, 4 doctoral programs, and 10 graduate certificate programs, the University of Texas at Dallas provides an academically rigorous environment with a supportive community from diverse backgrounds, diverse countries. So they offer about 30 master's programs and 4 doctoral programs. So that's the key takeaway from this slide. So a brief history of the University of Texas at Dallas. UT Dallas was established in 1961 as the Graduate Research Center of the Southwest and later renamed the Southwest Center for Advanced Studies. It began as a research arm of Texas Instruments. So Texas Instruments, as we know, is an electronics company, and it began as a research arm and then became a university by itself. So in 1961, so it's definitely more than half a century old. In 1969, the founders bequeathed SCAS to the state of Texas, and Governor Preston Smith signed the bill officially creating the University of Texas at Dallas. It has about 14,319 undergrads and about 8,700 grad students. So University of Texas at Dallas department rankings. So we have the business school MBA ranked lower than 100, about 140 actually. The Jindal Business School is not in the top 100. So if you're doing an MBA, it's probably very important to get into a business school that's like in the top 20 or at least top 40, because you go there for the networking opportunities mainly. If you do an MBA, try to do it from a top university. MIS ranked like top 37 in the US. Computer science ranked top 58 in the US. Electrical engineering ranked top 66 in the US. Mechanical engineering top 89 in the US. Chemical engineering lower than 100. Civil engineering lower than 100. Law school lower than 100. Medical school is like top 25. So the medical school at UT Dallas for MD program is like really, really prestigious. I mean, difficult to get into, very competitive. Ranked top 25 in the US. So UT Dallas Business School, so the Naveen Jindal School of Management, this is a picture of the building. Ranked top 38 for MBA in the US. Acceptance rate is 26.2%. Average GMAT score is about 673. Average UGPA is 3.5. Program duration is about 2 years. Annual tuition is about $50,500. Average salary for MBA graduates about $80,000, which is not so bad. UT Dallas Computer Science, so ranked 58 in US. So this is the computer science department. So acceptance rate is 33.9%. Average GRE score is 161. Average undergraduate GPA is 3.4. Program duration is about 2 years. Annual tuition about $28,000 for the computer science master's program. And average salary after graduating with a master's in computer science, approximately $58,000. So next we have the electrical engineering department. So this is a picture of the electrical department. Well, we just have the logo captured here. And then it's ranked top 66 for Masters in Electrical Engineering in the US. Acceptance rate is about 33.9%. Average GRE score is 161. Average undergraduate GPA 3.4. Program duration about 21 months. Annual tuition about $28,000. Average starting salary about $61,300 for Masters in Electrical Engineering graduates. UT Dallas Mechanical Engineering. So this is a picture of the Mechanical Engineering department. Ranked top 86 for Mechanical Engineering in the US. Acceptance rate is 61.2%. Average GRE score is about 160. Average undergraduate GPA is 3.5. Program duration is about 2 years. Annual tuition about $28,000 for international or out-of-state students. And then there's average starting salary is about $61,000. UT Dallas Chemical Engineering. So this is a picture of the Chemical Engineering Department. It's again got all these fountains and a beautiful campus. So ranked lower than 100 for chemical engineering in the US, but is still a popular destination for Indian students. Acceptance rate is about 61.4%. Average GRE score is about 160. Average undergraduate GPA 3.5. Program duration is 2 years for a master's program in chemical engineering. Annual tuition about $45,600. Average starting salary about $54,000. So this is a picture of a classroom in the civil engineering department. So you see the gallery rooms and the really nice, beautiful classroom. And then UT Dallas Medical School. So this is a picture of the medical school campus. The UT Pact brings innovative change to medical education in the UT system through the implementation of a competency-based curriculum, revision of the course content to achieve greater relevance, and formalized instruction to promote professionalism. Coordination between bachelor's and medical training enables students to complete both degrees in 7 years. So this is an interesting fact. You know, like in India, you can probably get an MBBS degree, that's like a medical degree, in about 5 years, 5.5 years. And you can also get one from the UK, United Kingdom, in about like 5.5 years. But to become a doctor in the US, you'd have to do 4 years of pre-med and again apply to medical school, MD, for 4 years by taking the MCAT. So again go through the admission hassle. So it usually takes 8 years to get an MD, which is the equivalent of an MBBS in India. But there are some universities in the US where you have accelerated MD programs. There are a couple of universities, including University of Missouri at Kansas City, UMKC, which offers a 6-year accelerated MD program. So the advantage is, like, soon after high school, these kids apply there, and like in 6 years, they graduate with an MD. So they still have to take the MCAT, and as long as they get the minimum score and they maintain a good GPA, they don't have to apply for like MD admissions again. Saves them a lot of hassle, and instead they can focus on becoming good doctors. So in about 6 years, they become doctors, and then they apply for residency. And so University of Texas at Dallas has an accelerated MD program too. So the coordination between bachelor's and medical training enables students to complete both degrees in 7 years instead of 8 years. That's kind of cool. And minimum high school GPA is 3.7, SAT, math and reading 1521 out of 1600, ACT 34. So it's kind of competitive to get into these programs. There's also a few other universities. There's one in Florida, and there's Boston University. I mean, there are like a few universities which offer accelerated MD programs. So if you're applying to medical school in US, you might want to think about these. UT Dallas Medical School. You rank 25 for medical MD in the US. Acceptance rate 8.4%. Average MCAT score is 34. Pretty high score. Average undergraduate GPA 3.83. Program duration 4 years for MD. Annual tuition about $31,000. Average starting salary about $101,500 for these doctors. So now let's talk about the law school. This is a picture of the law school building. And then the cost of living in Dallas. The monthly rent in Dallas as of the year 2016. So for a studio, it costs about $600 to $1,000 per month. One bedroom apartment costs about $700 to $1,200 per month. 2-bed, 2-bath apartment costs about $1,000 to $1,300 per month. To purchase a home, cost of 1-bed, 1-bath house is approximately $100,000 to $250,000. Cost of a 3-bed, 3-bath house approximately about $250,000 to $550,000. Cost of a 5-bed, 5-bath house approximately $400,000 to maybe even $1 million, depending on the gated community and location and all these factors. But it's still a very low cost of living compared to California or New York or Boston. Some famous alumni of University of Texas at Dallas. So we have David Hanson, developer for human-like robots with realistic facial expressions and conversational abilities. Naveen Jindal, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Jindal Steel and Power Limited. So the School of Management is named after Naveen Jindal. James Von Ain II, the second, is the founder and CEO of Zyvex Corporation, the world's first molecular nanotechnology company. Christian Belady, he holds 77 US patents in computer and data center design and has dozens more pending. So jobs and internships. So which are the top employers in the Dallas area, Texas? So there's Tableau Software, iTransition, Trilogy Software, Square Root Incorporated, Financial Software Innovations, BMC Software Incorporated, Eureka Software, Enola Labs, Calavista Software, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. These are some of the top employers for students who graduate from the University of Texas at Dallas. What about the Indian restaurants in Dallas? There are a lot of Indian restaurants. So there's Mumtaz, Masala Wok, there's Gopal Veg, Nandini, Kesari, Madras Pavilion. So this is as of the year 2016. So if you watch this video after about like 2 or 3 years, some of these restaurants might have shut down, new ones might have opened. A lot of things could have happened. So this is, as of year 2016, these are some of the Indian restaurants in Dallas. There's a rich Indian community, a lot of Indian clothes and Indian concerts happen here. A lot of interesting things happen, a lot of cultural associations. It's a very vibrant place. This brings us to the end of this video about studying in the University of Texas at Dallas. And I hope you found it useful. Thank you.